Oh man. Another movie, another disappointment. Um, so some background. This was my most anticipated movie of the year. Now, I'm by no means some massive Superman fan or anything like that, but I do love him as a character, and I was so excited for this film because I feel like with the meta aspect of this is that I feel like we're at a turning point with cinema. I feel like we've turned a corner with regards to the kind of rubbish entertainment with the identity politics and all this thing. And I feel like sort of some of the movements going on around the world is that I feel like we are so primed and ready for a real Superman film, like an earnest, a stoic, a serious film that really explores his character and what he means to truth, justice, and the American way. I'm going to say that because that's what it should be. That's what it is. I don't care what they want to change it to. They didn't call it anything in this film, but it is truth, justice, and the American way. So, the Superman 2025, directed by James Gunn, starring David Corenswet in the title role. This is a James Gunn film, first and foremost. And for those of you who don't know what that means, he's the director of the Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy, the Suicide Squad movie, the second one they made, as well as the likes of Peacemaker. He's done other movies that are more like in the superhero genre as well. His style is quirky misfits, usually in an ensemble, a team. That is his style, and he actually is really good, and he excels at that style, which is why the Guardians movies were so great, and he's had success in that kind of field. Superman is basically the furthest thing from this. Superman is meant to be taken seriously. He's meant to be an earnest character. Like you're meant to take him seriously and have some sort of stakes and serious themes going on in his films. Some serious explorations of what it means to be both a man and an alien who has invincible superpowers. This film, I'm not going to say it's as quirky and goofy as James Gunn's other films, but it's like 60% the way there. I mean, I give him some credit. He dialed back some of it for this film, but for the most part, it's there. And I'm just so frustrated right now because in this film, there is so many amazing building blocks that he actually has brought in for this. The starting concept, the first 20, 25 minutes of this film, I was all in. I was actually loving it. I'm thinking, this is great. I'm digging the tone. I'm loving the central premise. There is a conflict at the center of this film between two fictional countries, which is reminiscent of some current conflicts that we have going on in the world today. And the central crux of this story is in this interview scene that you've seen in the trailers between Lois Lane interviewing Clark, but this time as Superman. She is asking him, interrogating him essentially as a reporter as to why he thinks he has the jurisdiction to cross country borders, to not check things with presidents, with secretary of states, with defense departments, anything. Why does he get to go wherever he wants to do whatever he wants? And to that, Superman's argument that he pushes back on is, I'm doing this to save lives. I don't care about these rules. I am saving lives. And so her argument is about kind of unchecked power, and his argument is basically the greater good. And you see both sides of that. As just a human being who lives in this world, that is such a relatable, both sides are such relatable arguments to make. And so when that argument took place very early on in the film, I'm like, hell yes, this is what I want to see. I want to see how this pays off. I want to see where they take this premise and what they do with it and what kind of answers they give us for that. No, none of that. Didn't deal with it again, really. And you want to know where this all ends up? The resolution to that conflict in the film. By the way, I'm going to get into spoilers here. I don't even care. I don't feel like this film deserves the credit of being spoiler free because it's just not that deep. There's no depth to it. There's they try to go for some shock value at times, but it's very superficial for the most part. I'm going to spoil this, so sorry to those who haven't seen it yet, but if you want to tune in after you've watched it, by all means do that. But I'm just going to get right into it. That central premise regarding, and this conflict is throughout the whole film. It is central to this film's plot in terms of what they are trying to do, what Lex Luthor in particular is trying to do, and all of that. And Superman is adamant on stopping it. And then at the end, he's not even there to save the day. After the kids there are literally holding up a Superman flag with the Superman theme playing, he's not the one that comes to their rescue. It's the stupid Justice Gang with Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, and Mr. Terrific, who, by the way, they're fine. They're good characters, but They do not belong in this film. The reason being that this is the first film in this new DC universe, and you are launching it with a film called Superman, and we did not get to explore Superman at all, apart from that first 20 minutes of the film that they just drop and do not care about because there are too much action scenes to go through for the rest of the film. It's like, I don't understand what the point was. So there's this whole concept in this film called these pocket dimensions that Lex Luthor has created, where he holds people prisoners in these sort of interdimensional prisons, which is just like, I get that this is a comic book film and this is a very comic booky film, and I give credit where it's due because he really was able to make a film that feels like a comic book come to life. I'll give credit there. But the second act, which takes place predominantly in this pocket dimension, was taking me way out of the film. I was so engaged from the first act of what they were presenting, but then once basically Superman turns himself into the police or to the armed forces, it all just goes south from there. And I was hoping, okay, maybe the third act will pick it back up. We'll get some great action. We'll get some good payoffs to some setups from the beginning. No, none of that. It's just generic action sequences. And as I said, the payoff to the main conflict, he's not even there for that, because there's another battle going on in Metropolis where he has to take on Ultraman and Lex Luthor, as well as, and they're basically creating this sort of fissure-like earthquake in Metropolis, and he's got to be there to save it. Too much goofy humor throughout this film. Drop all the Jimmy Olsen stuff and the Eve Tessmacher stuff. Just scrap all of that. Focus in on Superman and Lois. And on top of this, there's barely even any Clark Kent in this film. He's mainly just in the first 20 minutes of the film, and then after that, he's just in the Superman costume for the rest of the film. Like, this is very reminiscent of like the Batman with Robert Pattinson a few years back, where he was basically in the Batman suit for the whole film. It's kind of the same thing, and I have sort of the same issues that we don't get to see the two characters because they are two very different characters, and it's important to show the contrast of the two so we get that full exploration of them. But we didn't get that. We had it at the beginning, completely left off for the rest of the film. What did I think of the action? Probably my favorite sequence with Superman in action was against the kaiju. The main thing, that's pretty early on in the film. That's in the first act, which I was enjoying. The main reason is because I liked how he was fighting and combating it, and at the same time he's saving people around from the kaiju, and that's cool. That's what Superman should be, and I was really digging it. I just wanted to see more and more of that. But in terms of his action throughout the rest of the film, he gets his ass handed to him constantly by Ultraman and all different types of people, and just like, you don't feel. I was forgetting throughout the movie that he's made of steel, because it sure didn't seem like it. He's getting smashed over and over by every which way you can imagine. And it's just like, you forget that this guy is actually meant to be made of steel, and he's not meant to be impenetrable in that sense, except by kryptonite, which is involved in this film. But the whole middle sequence with Metamorpho that took place in the pocket dimension could have scrapped all of that and just created this essential story that takes place in Metropolis with this conflict happening overseas that he is trying to contend with. Make it all about that. And look, I want to say is that when you're trying to make, on top of that, regarding this conflict, if you want it to be taken seriously, then you need the players involved to be serious characters. And I feel like a great barometer for this film is the leader of the country that is the one trying to invade the other country. I can't remember the name, but he's kind of, the performance by this actor and this character in the film, it's kind of the barometer for the overall film, because he acts like so cartoony as a villain that it makes it hard to, and he doesn't really come into the fray till a bit later on, but like, he makes it so hard to take the conflict seriously because it's just like, it's so cartoony and stupid. And I get they could say, oh, that's like the comics. Well, you need to adapt that in a way that is faithful, but at the same time can make us take it seriously, because I couldn't take him seriously. It was a caricature of what it's like what that kind of person would be like. But look, the crux of my issue here is that all of my concerns about this film going into it and the development of it, hearing about it over the last year or two, all of it came true. The first one being James Gunn clearly was the wrong man for this film, because he has a style that he has shown now that he cannot move out of. He has this one style that suits a certain group of people within superhero films, but does not suit the likes of Superman. And number two, when we kept hearing these announcements that there's going to be Guy Gardner, Hawkgirl, what's his name, Mr. Terrific, and then you got the villains, Ultraman, Lex Luthor, you have Metamorpho, and then you have all the people, the Daily Planet. You've got all these characters running around all over the place that we felt like maybe this film's gonna be spread too thin. We're not gonna get enough time with Superman. That's exactly it. We didn't. And the most frustrating part is that all of them had potential. All of the characters in this film, the actors playing them, there was potential for all of them. Bits of the highlights and glimmers. It's so frustrating because the end result, I'm not going to say it's a terrible film. It's not. It's the end result is a completely mid-level film, like somewhere in a 5.5 out of 10 level. It's because it has so much wasted potential. And it's just such a shame. I would almost rather right now be really hating the film. Like I wish I was just like completely despised it because it'd make it so much easier. But it's just so painfully mid that like I just wanted to love it. I wanted it to be great. It's just not that. So I don't know. I probably will watch it again one day. I have no intention of watching it anytime soon, I don't think. But maybe I'll feel slightly differently about it one day. I don't know, now that my expectations are aside and I know what to expect the next time I watch it. But man, it's a disappointment. When I say it's such a disappointment, it's because I wanted it to be up here and it's just way down there. And David Corenswet is great as Superman. He give him a great script and this guy could knock it out of the park. He could be as good as Christopher Reeve or anything like that, or Henry Cavill. The Rachel Brosnahan is Lois Lane. She's great. The whole cast, Nicholas Hoult, give him a better script. He'd be awesome as Lex Luthor. All of them deserve such a better script because they're such great actors in these roles, and they just weren't getting the right material. It just all comes down to James Gunn. This dude it was a mistake. Fine for him to be the head of DC, the DCU, and to oversee these projects, but he shouldn't have been the director or the writer of this film. He has too much of this goofy style that he likes to go for, and it takes away any seriousness or proper stakes from the film. And yeah, and to mention one thing, a lot of people upset about the Jor-El reveal in this film. So essentially, just to run it down quickly, there's a message that Superman loves to listen to from his biological father earlier on in the film. He's only has half the message though, which is basically a nice message telling him about, how they had to let him leave Krypton so they could save him and all this stuff. And he honors that message each day by trying to be the best person possible. Well, it's not long into the film that Lex Luthor reveals that there's a second after that message, and Jor-El sent him there to conquer Earth, to make a harem of all the women on Earth, and to spread his seed and all of this. And I'm not going to feign outrage. I know like all the comic book nerds are getting upset about this. I'm not a comic book nerd, so I'm not. But they're saying this is absolutely law breaking. I know, I understand that. That's terrible. Maybe there's a way they can tie that up to make it show that it wasn't quite the case, or it was a fake message by Luthor. But for all intents and purposes, it doesn't seem to be the case right now. But we'll see what happens. But even then, I don't really even care because it's such a mid film. I don't really care about what's the prospects now of this universe. It's like, had so much potential and it's just wasted. And that's the overall summary here. And this doesn't even feel like a review right now. It feels like a vent session, but I'm going to do a proper review on this because I have so much more I want to say and I need to properly collate my thoughts so I can present them to you coherently, because right now I feel like I'm rambling. But yeah, that's my thoughts, guys. So sad to say, this was Superman 2025 was a disappointment. And yeah, I am just feel so down about this because I just wanted it to be great and it's just not. So yeah, that's my thoughts, guys. Hope you enjoyed this video. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. What did you think of the film and all that? I'd love, whether you agree or disagree, I'd love to hear them all. But yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye.